All right, and welcome to Building the Broncos. I am your host, Carl Dumler, and we have a special guest joining us here for Building the Broncos. First time on our show. Very excited. Right now, Nick is trying to get himself kind of moved out of his place and going, and he's got lots of stuff to do. So I'm happy about it because that means Luke and I get to do our first show together. And so, Luke, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Carl. I'm super pumped to be on this show. I've been wanting to be on it for a while. Nick, like you said, he's busy, super busy right now. So I'm happy to fill in for him, man, and wrap Broncos with you. Training camp kind of kicking off today in its own strange way. So
Yeah.
we're going to get through that a little bit, but I'm pumped to be wrapping Broncos on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, me too. And we got a lot of great content. We had John Elway, Vic Fangio, and even Joe Ellis got before media today. And I got to say, John Elway was fired up. Like, he didn't hold anything back.
Yeah.
Usually he's a little bit more calculated. He just, nope, I'm going to let it fly. And I'm sure, just stress of everything that's going on. So we're going to get into that today. I'm excited about that. And Vic Fangio lost 30 pounds. Good for him. One of the few people that lost weight over the last 6 months.
That's right.
But I'm excited to talk that with you. Before we get to that, though, I do want to make sure you can find us on Twitter. You can find me at Carl Dumler MHH and Luke at Luke Patterson LP. And of course, Nick at Nick Kindle MHH. And make sure you're following the podcast Twitter account at BTB Football Pod. Subscribe to our show wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a rating. Also, don't miss out on all of our great off-season content at milehighhuddle.com of Sports Illustrated. And know that our podcast is powered by Overtime Media. Well, real quick, before we get going too much into this, I want to say hi to some of our listeners here that are queued in as our usual crowd. Ernie, of course, has to be the first comment. Ernie, always love you. Appreciate you tuning in here. We got some new names that I haven't seen before. Toy Mafia. I think I've seen you here before. Sorry about that. Douglas Gray, Talon Vamp. Of course, Buana's in the background for us here today. Big E Bronco. Let's see. We got Duke coming in here once again. Miller 707 champ. Just got our Terry Randall, of course. So got ourselves a great crowd going. Very excited, guys. And we do have some cool things going on here today. We're going to be giving away some swag. And so everybody that's tuning in, we're going to be putting your name in a randomizer. And yeah, we're going to see who gets themselves a new exclusive hat. That's kind of exciting. And I hear you have a hat on your way too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think I was the first one to place an order. I've been at the boss man, Chad Jensen, at Chad Jensen, for anyone who wants to try to get me that hat, like express shipped, because it's looking pretty hot, Carl. I saw it right away and immediately have to go after it. So it's the old school blue and white, Mile High Huddle in orange and the blue. I absolutely love it, man. An essential, I think, for football season coming up. And someone's going to be getting some free gear, man. What a good show. Stay with us this whole show, and we will be announcing right at the end.
And we got some super chats coming in here right off the bat. Duke, really appreciate you tuning in as usual. Hashtag Carl's Majestic Beard Cream Fund. Thank you very much. It's like I said last week, I trimmed it up because it was getting where food was getting stuck in it, and it was just getting crazy. And but it's still looking good right now. I'll take it.
You got to let it go, man. You just got to let it go. It's either you let the hair go or the beard go right now for quarantine. So I'm going beard. If I went with the hair, I'd look like a homeless guy. So try to clean it up a little bit. I do have my own beard products too. So
yeah,
I get you.
I do run the brush through it to get it looking all nice going.
You gotta get you some beard cream. You gotta get you some oil, some shampoo. You gotta doctor it up a little bit, man.
That's true. That super chat's gonna help out, so I appreciate that, Duke.
Thanks, Duke.
And then we have Mr. Chad Jensen, the boss man. Boys, Elway dropping explicitives in a public setting tells us what?
It tells you that John Elway doesn't want to make excuses for this season. He's setting that he did state that you do have to, temper expectations for Drew Lock and this young offense just because they haven't been on the field. But that doesn't mean that John Elway is saying it's okay to lose games, it's okay to not work, and it's okay to wait around for someone to tell you what's okay in this current climate. John Elway came out today and he did drop a little bit of an expletive saying, we can't just blank about it. We got to go out there and do it. We got to work and we got to put our nose to the grindstone. I absolutely loved it. You and I were talking a little bit before the show, and as you kicked it off, John Elway was getting feisty today, and that's something we don't really see from John too much, especially when it comes to, kickoff of an odd training camp. So it tells me that John Elway, there's no excuses for GM.
Yeah, I do wonder a little bit, just maybe some of that frustration of everything over these last few weeks of, it's just been a lot of unknown with the NFL and the NFLPA going back and forth, whether we're even going to have a season, whether we're going to have preseason or not. And he was a little upset about preseason being gone because he wanted the young guys to have a chance to play together. And so I do think some of that just frustration of all this having to be last minute planning and trying to get big details, big things done in a short amount of time. I would be frustrated too. Everybody out there is probably frustrated. And you had today players opting out of the season.
Yeah.
I'm sure that played into some of this too, because he did talk about that he's heard some rumblings of other Bronco players thinking about it. And you're trying to make plans and you don't even know which players are going to be there to make those plans. So I do think there is a little frustration behind some of that.
Absolutely, and that's natural. That's to be expected. I thought he was refreshingly honest. That's not to say that he comes up there and sells you a bill of goods at the press conferences, but John will tell you what he means when he wants to, and he usually backs those actions up too. But looking at on the Twitter for Denver Broncos and seeing what the testing looks like, and when you start to think about it, Carl, they just got the rookies in the building last week to finally meet these guys in person. So I imagine there would be some natural angst. You haven't even had a chance to meet these guys, even though you've been working with them face to face for so many weeks. Right. I would agree. You could definitely feel the frustration from John Elway, but I would also say John Elway doesn't want any excuses.
It's true. And I think that's one of the things I did want to talk about here today is one of the things that really stuck out to me with the press conference from Elway is him really wanting to up the responsibility of players.
Yes.
And himself too, and the whole organization. I was reading an article not too long ago that they were talking about some scouts and what they think of, or agents and what they think of John Elway. And one of them said he has very high expectations. And sometimes he gets upset because others don't meet his expectations. And for him as a player, especially, he had high expectations of the team competing for Super Bowls and making right decisions that go towards that. And these players, they're going to have a lot more personal responsibility than they've ever had in their lives. And so, making sure they're not going out to restaurants, not going out to clubs, not doing all the vacations all over the world during the bye week, having to make some sacrifices to really be able to play this season. And he really put it on the players today.
Absolutely. And I think he said, right now the players have to be more dedicated than they've ever been before in this business. And that's an incredible statement when you think about it. And it kind of gives me chills because, we can all remember being a little bit younger and being a little bit more excited when we got our first paycheck. It's not the same paycheck these guys are going to be getting. But, as young players, you do want to go out and you want to socialize. You want to be around your family. And you do have to understand the circumstances and the climate that we're living in, but you also have to make a commitment to your team and to your career. And we're seeing it a little bit in baseball with what happens when those things aren't followed and what happens when there's not accountability and honesty. That's something else that I would expect John Elway to really be not shoving down the players' throats, but hoping players would embrace personal accountability. I'm looking at leaders like Von Miller right now, someone who's already gone through an experience similar to what the world is currently facing. And that personal accountability you're talking about, he's challenging these players right now. And you know what? It's a sad day, Carl, too, because you see rosters trimmed down to 80 players. And, I'm looking at some of these young guys, and John Elway did talk about it too, and, and said it's a real shame that it's tough to evaluate these guys. And then some of these guys, they don't even get a chance to evaluate. You look at, one of their draft picks in Natane Moody, and he just gets the walking papers kind of today. And it's like, wait a
Right.
second, you're in meetings, you're drafted, and now you're not really on the team anymore. It doesn't seem fair, but right now that's kind of the world we're living in, Carl.
Right. You're right. All right. Well, here's the next one from Mr. Boggins. I love that picture with the Bailey and the guitar. That's awesome. I got my guitar right here to my right, and I'm planning on doing a little playing, plucking the strings after our show here today.
There we go.
But how long do you give it before Tyree Cleveland replaces Patrick as Sutton Light?
Ooh, that's a really good question. As Sutton Light, I like it, Mr. Boggins. That's a really creative. I like it.
Yeah.
You got to get on the practice field before you start getting nicknames, and that's exactly what Elway said today. These player evaluations on video, they don't necessarily mean nothing, but when you get on the field, it's a whole nother game. Now, I personally like Tim Patrick right now a lot as an experienced receiver that's similar to the Cortland Sutton profile of a big body receiver that uses his upper body strength and his knowledge of positioning when the ball is in the air. Now, I have heard within the last week that there are some Broncos insiders saying they're projecting Tim Patrick to be a starting wide receiver this season, and I do not project that at all. That just kind of goes contradictory to drafting KJ Hamler in the second round, and I'd like him to be that slot wideout rather than Jerry Jeudy. So for me right now, I'm leaning a little bit more on Tim Patrick, but I would definitely look to the young wide receiver in Cleveland for a special teams role.
Yeah, I'm one that I do, just like Elway said today, you have to temper expectations of these rookies and the offense really starting off. I have a hard time seeing Hamler being a starter at the slot day one. Jerry Jeudy, that's his best position is the slot. He can play the Z, and I think by the end of the season, he'll be at that Z and Hamler at the slot. But I can see early on Tim Patrick, especially when you don't have preseason games to really make a name for yourself. You're going to have to do some things in training camp when you can't have contact. It's going to be hard for these rookies to be making a name for themselves. I know Philip Lindsay did it his rookie year, where about day 2 of training camp, everybody's like, yep, this guy, he's done it. He's on the team. He's going to have a role kind of thing. So they can do it. It's just, again, just such a weird offseason. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly the rookies can really get out there and impress these coaches.
Yeah, now that you say that, it does. His drops concern me, KJ Hamler.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We talked about that at the draft. All of us had concerns with the drops, and he's a work in progress, no doubt. So I would tend to maybe back off that stance a little bit. I just like Tim Patrick as the old dog in the room because you don't have any old dogs in the room.
Right.
I think he's an old dog at the ripe age of 27, or something like that. So it's kind of interesting when you look at that, but you just see this youth movement in the wide receiver room, and it should be really encouraging, but also super competitive.
Yeah. And Tim Patrick did have a nice connection with Drew Lock at the end of last season. So we'll see if that continues into this year. But getting on to the next one, Stephen Bumgartner coming in here. Nice Dove Valley Deep Divers hat there wearing. And, of course, the John Elway jersey. But excited for tomorrow night. Hashtag DB for life. Hashtag go big red. What's tomorrow night? I guess I'm out of the loop.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, Steven, are you taking a shot at us and wanting to watch the Huddle Up guys instead? Because the real programming is right here tonight on Building the Broncos with Carl and Luke tonight. Luke Patterson filling in for Nick. No, I greatly appreciate your support. All the listeners and all the MHH following. Get at Mile High Huddle on Twitter. Get at milehighhuddle.com. We've got some great podcasts, and we like to josh each other and get after each other. But you know what? We've got great writers too that are always pumping work out. Even when I'm catching some Z's, they're international writers working at the crack of dawn here in Broncos country for us to get these articles out and all this content to you. So thank you guys very much.
I do like this one from Kenneth Booker. When Carl and Luke host, it's called the Bearded Broncos.
Yeah,
that's right.
Book. I like it, Book.
I like it. The show.
I like it.
All right, David Kilgore coming in with a super chat. Appreciate that. With MLB having issues with the virus, do you guys see any issues with the NFL getting started? And also a lot of players now opting out. Hashtag Kansas boys stick together. Kansas boys stick together. That's right. We do stick together. My wife still all the time, she's like, you have such Kansas pride. Like all the time. She's from Nebraska. I'm like, Nebraska's nothing, honey.
And it's for knowledge.
Yeah.
No, I did not know. Are you a Jayhawk? You one of those rock chalk Jayhawks?
I am for basketball.
Okay. All right.
I didn't really grow up watching them for football. My grandpa always watched KU basketball every weekend, and I
Yep.
went out to their house a lot. And so he and I would watch that together. So I became a big KU Jayhawk basketball fan
Fair
and
enough.
still watch them all the time. Football, I really don't cheer for KU or K-State.
Yep.
I don't know. Just I was never a big fan. But all right, getting to the question. I do see issues for the NFL. Not getting started per se, but I do see issues maybe about week 4 showing up. Just all of us during this time, we've all had our times of getting stir crazy, right? And
sure. Absolutely.
we've had those times where we go and probably do something we probably shouldn't do, be around people that we shouldn't be around. My mom, at one point, she called me up. She's like, I'm done with this. Bring my grandchild to me now. And so we did.
That's right. When mom tells you something, you listen.
Right. And so I do see at some point that there's going to be some kind of issue where teams are going to have to figure out, like, can we play? Can we have this game when we have 5 players that just got the virus?
Sure.
I don't know.
And I think that's a great question, David. And that's something that we're all monitoring right now. I'm not an MLB fan, if I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a big baseball guy, but I'm closely monitoring the situation down in Florida and looking at what the Yankees are doing and the Phillies and everybody like that. There are certainly obstacles that can get in this way, and I think it would be foolish to think that there weren't and that there aren't going to be problems. But right now, what I'm really hoping to see MLB and the NFL, I'm hoping to see them get across a little bit, have a margin of error. I mean, these things are going to be coming up. It doesn't mean you need to shut everything down, be so brash. Don't be reactive, I guess is what I would caution these leagues. They've got so many plans and some of the best people in the country working on this stuff. Bawana Beast was telling me before the show that, the Denver Broncos equipment, he can firsthand verify that equipment they're testing players with some of the best in the world. So when I'm hearing stuff like that, it's very encouraging, but you also have to pump the brakes a little bit. And John Elway was asked that same question today. And he said, I'm not looking into the future right now. I'm looking ahead at what's right in front of me. And
Right.
They've got quite the, I don't want to say mess, but quite the obstacle in front of them. I mean, Right now, as it sits and you and I are talking, I'm thinking, Carl, did all the players report today successfully? And let alone how many tested for what? So absolutely, there are some concerns there, but I think there are a lot of reasons for optimism as well.
Yeah. No, I think they've been able to learn from some of these other leagues and other things that they've had to do. That's the great thing about the NFL being in the offseason. They've had time. So they've been able to sit back and watch a little bit more than others, and hopefully it ends up working out well for them. All right. Pabby coming in. Hey, appreciate getting to see you here. You guys rock. Go Broncos. Always appreciate it. And just always good to see you on the show. Appreciate the super chat. And it came in red, which is kind of interesting because Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, go Big Red. Yeah,
Pabby's one of our biggest supporters. I want to give her a huge shout out, especially whether it's on Twitter, on any of our podcasts, or our writing. She is always there and a perfect representation of Broncos country. And speaking of Broncos country, Carl said something a little bit earlier. We're going to be giving out some swag, y'all. We're going to be giving out one of the coolest new Bronco hats for the Huddle Up podcast team. And you can go check that out at Mile High Huddle. And we will be selecting one user, I guess, watching this pod. Some random gal or guy will be grabbing a new trucker hat, some new swag. So be sure to stick with us the rest of the show.
And I also just wanted to point out our super chats from last week, Pabby, of course, Kevin, David, Terry, Glenn, and James. Appreciate all of you being a part of the show in so many different ways. All of you joining us here today. We really appreciate it. It just means the world to us. Like, honestly, like we would talk football just if nobody was here, but it adds so much more just having you guys be a part of this. So really, really appreciate it. All right. Zachary's Web Design coming in with the super chat. To be honest, I really want life to come back to normal. I'm really wanting to be able to have sports this fall because the world needs positivity. #SoReady. Yes, we need a common enemy, which is the referees of course, blowing calls, and all of us can agree on that of, hey, this was terrible that they did this. And sports is always a nice distraction. It really is. And so I'm with you. I want sports back. I want it done safely, of course. And so I don't blame some of the players opting out during this time if they especially have pre-existing conditions and things like that. But I'm ready for it. I've enjoyed. I don't watch baseball. I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan, but I've watched a couple of their games now, just because having sports, any sports, has been really nice.
No, I agree, and people often, get heat for that term normal, and I would caution people to, normal is happy for us, right? That's all what we want to be. We want to be happy. So let's all just try to do the best we can to take care of one another, take care of ourselves, and try to get there. The good news is training camp did kind of start today. They weren't on the field, but they're checking in, guys. So it's coming. Now, I know that some news is not the best news when you see Kyle Pecco not joining the team, opting out, things of that nature. But right now, I'm feeling pretty good, Carl, because at least the boys are back. They're getting in the building. They've got their masks on, and we're closer. We're that much closer. I mean, I'm looking on my notepad here. You've got training camp today at the 28th, and they've got the ramp-up period to August 17th. And then 28 days later, it's September 14th, and the Tennessee Titans and Broncos are going to be playing football.
Boom. Love it. Dalton Reisner showing up in his overalls today. I saw that. Looked good.
Oh, yeah. So dirty. I love it from the big hoss, man. I know you want to talk some Kansas and, Kansas State guy there.
That's
and,
right.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Staying true to who he is. Expecting big things from the big dog.
Yes. All right. Terry Randall coming in here. #, use the force, Luke.
Thank you, Terry. Terry, you're the man.
Hopefully you can use the force to protect our Broncos and keep them in the right.
Absolutely.
All right. We got Paul coming in here. Appreciate the super chat, Paul. Longtime listener, of course, and a guy that Nick and I have been talking to forever. How can Broncos decide on which fans/sections can go to each home game if fans are allowed? # back the beards.
Yeah, Paul coming in with it right here. No, this one's tough to answer just because right now we don't have answers. We basically found out from CEO Joe Ellis today that he is working with the Denver mayor and Governor Polis. That's what I've heard. I haven't heard anything else. I don't know where you're kind of leaning at, Carl, and what information you've looked at, but right now it seems undecided for the fans.
My guess is they'll have to do either half crowd or 1/4 crowd or something like that. And probably the longest leaning season ticket holders probably have first tips.
Yep.
If I'm doing it fair, that's probably the way I'm going. Those are the people that have been loyal to the franchise for lots and lots of years. And I feel bad for those who maybe just got their season tickets and then said, hey, never mind, you can't come this season. But I think that's probably the fairest thing. Nothing's going to be fair in this whole situation. I mean, it's an unfair situation.
You're exactly right. Nothing's going to be fair. Nothing's going to be right. We live in an imperfect world, and we can't accept that, but we try to find the silver linings. And one thing is, you were thinking, I'm thinking maybe some players can, set up GoFundMe's or something like that for donating resources, or somehow the Broncos can work that stuff out. Don't know if it'll happen based off of revenue, but you try to look for some of those real feel-good stories, because while they are millionaires, they have lots of money, some of these guys have really good hearts too on the Denver Broncos. And John Elway and the brass, they're no different. They're hugely involved in this Broncos community, in this city, in this country, in this world. So I would definitely expect, fans are going to be there. I just don't know to what capacity.
Right. So this is a question you and I were discussing before the show, and I thought this would be a good one just to bring up here. And I'll give my information that I know.
Please.
But Miller 707 champ coming in. If someone opts out for the season, can they decide to play later in the season, or do they have to be out for the year? Also, if they opt out, does the team get that player's salary cap back for this year? So I don't know if they can come back or not. I don't think they can. I think they're pretty much saying, you're opting out, you're opting out. That's your decision. You can't 4 weeks later go, you know what, never mind, that $350,000 disappeared a little quicker than I thought. I'm coming back. I think you do have to sign that you're pushing it back. Part of that is because of the salary cap. It would be crazy trying to figure out when players come back of how that's going to work and everything else. But so here's how the way I understand it is a player will be paid either, 150,000 or 350,000, one of those two numbers. 350,000 if they have a
high risk,
a pre-existing condition that falls within their list of reasons why a player can opt out. So that will be their salary. That's how much will be charged against the salary cap this year. And then their contract will be pushed back. So whatever their contract was for 2020 now becomes their contract for 2021. Nothing changes on the contract other than they just moved the year. And they figured that was probably the safest way. So yes, teams do get their cap space back in that situation. But then that means they have less cap the next year because, well, they have to pay that player at some point anyway.
Yeah, that's a perfect definition because I asked you the same question right before we came on. So Miller Champ, that was a great question because one of the biggest things for me, right, we see with the Patriots are in the news. They're always in the news, and I don't feel bad for them. They've got players opting out, and that's fine with me. To each their own, especially because I love any advantage the Broncos can take over the Patriots. That being said, I do understand as a human being and respect each man's decision on whether or not they opt out or decide to play this game and make it their career. Now, you do know that 3 years is usually the average time slot in the league. So for some of these players, this could be it for Mr. Kyle Pecco. And if it is, then he certainly has made peace with that decision as a grown man. But my question with the Patriots to you was directly, so does this mean they can go get Logan Ryan now? You know, does all the cap space just immediately go away? And you explained that so eloquently and great by basically explaining, you know, no, whether that be that 150,000 or that 350,000, that would be coming off of the cap, correct? Yeah, yes, exactly.
So Hightower now goes from $8 million against the cap to 350,000. So
exactly.
It does open that space up. There are a lot of people who are. I know Adam Schefter even put out something today that he had an agent or something message him saying, "Yeah, the Pats they're tanking." Like
I think it was
Bill Belichick is the genius behind this.
Yeah, I think it was a player. I think he said it was even a player, and it was weird. I started trying to pull up articles about it and figure out who it is, and man, those guys, they always have something so fishy going on over there in New England.
Well, I saw a parody of it. I can't remember what comedian does it. He works for Barstool Sports. But he was acting like he was Bill Belichick, and he had why am I spacing on the quarterback's name from Clemson?
Oh, Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, yeah. He had all these pictures of Trevor Lawrence all behind him, and he's talking to a player. He's like, "Oh, you want to opt out? Yeah, you know that's for your safety. That's a good idea."
Yeah. No. At a certain point, I thought maybe does opt out mean I want to be a Tampa Bay Buck and go hang out with Tom Brady and Gronk in Tampa?
Tampa, Florida. It's a fun time. Bruce Arians, he's a fun coach.
Exactly. And you know what? I appreciate that, Carl. And you're all over it because I feel like I need to read through the collective bargaining agreement. I need to get you and Bob Morris. Go check out at Bob Morris MHH because Carl and Bob constantly have our contracts locked down. They know what's going on with the CBAs. So be sure to get at them with all those good questions because I do. I don't know these answers. And if I don't know something, I'm going to if I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I don't know it. I'm not going to pretend to guess because I'll just look even more foolish than I already do. So, no, that was an excellent question. Greatly appreciate it.
All right. Cody Potter coming in here with the super chat. Single game purchasers are not allowed to participate per SeatGeek. I had 2 tickets to Bucks Broncos game refunded to me last week. Cody, so sorry, man.
Sorry, Cody.
That was going to be a good one.
Yeah, you know what? And it still is, Cody. I hope you can make the best of it, brother. You know, stay safe, watch the game at home, have a couple cold pops. Maybe the Broncos are going to fix on something a little special for you. You know, they got something working for Tom Brady and that loss record here in this stadium. So hang in there, buddy. We really appreciate your support. Sorry to hear that, but hopefully we can get you back to a Broncos game soon.
Yeah. All right. Kevin Peterson, love the picture with the Mile High Huddle hat.
You're the man.
It's not the one we're giving away today, though, but we are giving one away. You all have some nice girth to those fantastic beards. Why, thank you.
I get so many more compliments from you guys than I do my wife, my family, my friends. I greatly appreciate it, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
My ego is like,
I know I'm going to start
right
blushing here, and I'm already feeling giddy because I get you one-on-one, just like we were talking backstage. We finally get to work together. It's been a while since the draft, so greatly appreciate the bearded love.
Yes. And we got even more here from Chris Hernandez with the super chat. Appreciate that. Cheers to the beards. Hashtag
Yeah.
those little thumbs up. Yes. Everybody make sure that you are giving us a thumbs up, heart, whatever you want to do. We just appreciate that, of course. And all of our listeners tuning in here today, man, you guys are active. We appreciate it. It's hard to keep up with this chat.
You guys are, yeah, they're absolutely correct. Broncos country is crushing it tonight because Broncos country knows this season is happening. Everybody's had July 28th marked on their calendar since January. And it today happened. And you could say without flaw, I would argue without flaw, considering the biggest news that we have is a player chose to opt out. Now, I mean, no disrespect by any of the players that were cut to get down to that 80, but I'm still excited. Broncos are in the building.
Yep. That's what we love. Brian Greenfield coming in here with the super chat. Appreciate that. And
thank you, Brian.
Yeah, all you guys again. It's been fun. And this hour is always the fastest hour of my week.
Me too.
Terry Randall coming in with the super chat as well. Hashtag cheers to the beards. That's a thing now.
Cheers to the beards.
Trending on Twitter soon.
I love it.
State of being. Hashtag Broncos world. Yes. Appreciate it there, Terry. Always love seeing your name pop up on our show every week.
Terry's got that nice goatee going. He's got that nice clean shaven head. He's looking clean. He's ready for Broncos football.
I don't know about this question. I don't know about this statement here. Brian Greenfield, love you, man. But Carl, love you guys. But that hat is ugly. What are you talking about? This is like, are you looking at this?
Man, Brian's not loving the building the Broncos hat. That's because Brian is waiting for the at Mile High Insiders _pod hat that will be coming out soon. Greatly appreciate Carl allowing me to come on Building the Broncos. Be sure to support Building the Broncos and all of our podcasts and get over to Mile High Huddle. We're going to be giving out another hat. So that's the good news. Maybe you're going to be getting this different hat. Chad Jensen just announced on Twitter, our boss here at Mile High Huddle Sports Illustrated, that we're giving out a trucker hat tonight. Brand new, just released tonight. It's real sweet. I encourage everybody to go look at it on Twitter at Mile High Huddle because someone's going to be getting some new gear, Carl, and apparently some of the folks think it needs to be you.
I guess so. I guess. Here, see, we got some Big E Bronco. That's the best looking hat. Appreciate that. Yes.
And my theory is as long as it's orange and blue, it's got some white in there, it's a good looking hat. As long as it's about the Broncos, it's a good looking hat. Although with the exception, I don't like those hats that are all blacked out or the jerseys. So it's like all Broncos, everything, but it's all black. No. There's no black in Broncos country. There's no, in the threads and the helmets, none of that. Save that for the Raiders. Save that for Las Vegas. Get that out of here.
All right. So I did want to get to, we talked about it a little bit, but I did want to talk about this just a little bit more. Elway talking about the offense, and he said expectations are definitely tempered. I don't think we can expect with no offseason for us to come out and be hitting on all cylinders. We definitely have to give them some rope and temper it a little bit and take one practice at a time. He added that it's going to be a slow build. And he talked again then also at the end of it, just kind of the defense and how they're going to have to carry the team early in the season. Now, those things, none of that's actually any kind of surprising news, but it is a little bit surprising to hear Elway talk so candid about it, just because, a lot of times they're just like, oh, yeah, we have high expectations. They're going to come out. They're going to do their thing. And so it was just interesting to hear him kind of give almost the fans then a little bit of, hey, you need to temper things a little bit early on because, expectations have gone sky high this offseason. Drew Lock going 4-1, bringing in Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Albert O to the offense, of course, Melvin Gordon to the backfield. But I kind of like this a little bit and it's honest. They know where their team is at. They know this situation that it's not going to be day one, everything's going to click. It's going to go great.
Yeah, and to me, this isn't John Elway, the GM, talking. This is John Elway, the quarterback, talking, because John Elway knows more than anyone how important it is to develop chemistry with your entire offense and your entire team. I mean, it took the man until 1997 and then 1998 and going back to back to win those Super Bowls. Lost some Super Bowls along the way, had some epic playoff runs, but ultimately it came down to brotherhood, and it came down to being a unit, and it came down to getting to know each other, trust each other, and then putting a fantastic football product on the field. John's just telling Broncos country right now, hey, we haven't had that much time. Give us some more time. And I can understand that to a certain degree. Where I have a little bit of problems is don't put it on the defense. Okay, because while the defense was certainly in a better position than the offense right now, the defense has had its struggles too. So I'm certainly hoping that right now it's not one of those deals where here we go again. Defense is going to have to bail the offense out. The optics do not suggest that at all when you look at the talent and the increase in just overall ability on the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, I think it's definitely John Elway, the quarterback, talking, saying, hey, Drew needs to get to learn these guys, and they need to get to learn to, know his style of play, and they have to trust each other.
Right. I mean, and got a whole new offensive system coming in.
And that's a big one.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, I've heard Shermer's system is pretty complicated.
Yep.
And he's got a lot of option routes going through for every receiver in that setup, and lots of guys movement going on. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly the offense can get itself together. And I do think, thankfully, this is going to be that second year for the defense. So I do expect some improvements. Bradley Chubb, of course, coming back. That's going to be about probably the biggest addition to the team from compared to last year. Bradley Chubb.
Oh, yeah.
I said about Jerry Jeudy, but Bradley Chubb really is probably the biggest addition.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Troy Rank said today from 7 News, he said, I talked to Bradley Chubb. He said, quote, I'm good to go. So if they're practicing today, Bradley Chubb would have been out there. I'm feeling pretty confident in saying
he's
that.
Not going to be on the PUP.
No, exactly. And
Andrew did say that.
Yeah, and then I start to look at Bradley Chubb, and you immediately think Von Miller for me. Von put some weight on, too. Coach talked about Von a little bit today, too, saying, we've been in constant contact. Well, I'm willing to bet that if Von Miller and Coach are in constant contact, then you got another pass rushing duo, and Bradley Chubb and Von Miller have been sharing secrets, working together, giving each other tips. I'm happy to see Von come back with a little bit more Chubb-style size. He's never going to always have that size that Chubb or Khalil Mack has, but he's still got to be able to bend. I think he's definitely taken this very serious offseason and worked it to his advantage. So I agree. Bradley Chubb, do not sleep on the astronaut Bradley Chubb.
Right. All right. I want to get to a couple super chats. I want to come back to that just a little bit. But Brian Greenfield, that's my grandpa's hat. I don't know if it's just because it's tall. Sorry, I have a short head, so it's
Brian
my ears, but
at you, Carl.
I know. He really is. That's where I can take it.
I know. I love it, Brian. I love it. But you know what? Old school hats are in, man. Old school shades are in. Go check out and get yourself some swag. Maybe, Brian, you'll get that hat coming up here. I don't know. But you're going to have to behave a little bit if you want to be in the running. Brian, we greatly appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
All right. He's coming in here again. I'd be much happier if we had a better cornerback or at least a true number one cornerback. The cornerback group, here's the thing I'll say about it. It is probably the most unknown group on the Broncos team right now. Because kind of like the wide receiver group, there's a lot of youth. The cornerback group has a lot of youth as well. Callahan, we don't know what he is quite yet. we'll kind of see. Bouye, we'll see if he can have a bounce back season. Go back to more of his 2 years ago when he was an all-pro kind of cornerback. And then, of course, you got Ojemudia joining the group as a rookie. Hard to know what a rookie can do on the field. Bosby coming back. That was a guy last year. I said, this is my secret superstar. And the few games that he got to play, he looked good.
Mm-hmm.
He got hurt. And I just, it devastated me because I thought, man, this guy's really showing he belongs in this league. And then he got hurt. So we'll see if he gets a nice bounce back. Yadam as well. Duke Dawson getting their second years in the system. I just think this cornerback group, I'd wait and see. I just think in that second year in the system is going to be so big for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And while it's not flashy to have a lockdown on the island corner like a Darrell Revis, a Champ Bailey, Broncos country, we've been spoiled with cornerbacks too, and it's really tough when you don't have an Aqib Talib and Champ Bailey out there or Chris Harris Jr. But you know what? I'm expecting big things out of AJ Bouye. I'm not expecting him to lead the league in picks, but I'm expecting him to be very effective with utilizing a zone coverage scheme that he is extremely comfortable in under Vic Fangio. A lot of people forget Vic Fangio and the Chicago Bears heavily pursued AJ Bouye before he signed a contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm projecting big things from Bouye, and you know what? I'm projecting big things from Michael Ojemudia. He needs to come in right away and show that he can play in this league. It's going to be one of those things, baptism by fire. And while I absolutely expect rookies to make mistakes, Vic Fangio, this was a hand-selected pick by the head coach, nicknamed the mastermind. Well, I got to see some mastermind optics to help show me the cornerbacks are going to be okay, because I completely agree. It's definitely a major area of concern for the Denver Broncos.
Right. All right. Cody Potter coming in. Is this the best Broncos team defensively and offensively since the Super Bowl? Hashtag, I don't know, FYTB. I'm not quite sure in my lingo. I'm old school.
We're getting old. We're getting old. If we don't know, please come. Yeah, please come back. Please come back, Cody, with the FYTB. Yeah, because I got to know what that is.
F you, Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, FYTB.
Yeah, there we go. I'm for that there.
Yeah, Cody, throw 12 on there next time, and I'll definitely know, because everyone knows the TB12. But no, man, I'm going to jump in right away. Defensively, absolutely not, because the Broncos defense for that Super Bowl, in my opinion, is the best defense of all time. I've never seen anything like it. They gave a whole new definition to Mile High Magic post the John Elway era. The offense, maybe, but you know what? It's a little early to say if Drew Lock is going to be a Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame quarterback like Peyton Manning. I like your optimism. I like where you're going. But right now, we just got the guys in the building. I haven't even seen what they look like in pads.
Right. This has probably been the most optimism I've had about a team since the Super Bowl. I was not a big Trevor Siemian guy.
See, and and I'm willing to eat all the crow that comes with it. I was a Simeon guy, just like, my guy Cecil Lammey was the Paxton Lynch guy, and I still give him heck for that. And he gives me heck. Yeah, and he gives me heck. All right, we eat crow and we move on.
Yeah. And but no, I do think that this is probably the most, like I said, optimistic, promising team that I remember over the last few years. I didn't have much hope for Joe Flacco. I thought, okay, maybe he can do at least enough with a good defense to keep the team in most games. That was not the case. Case Keenum, it was hard that he was ever going to live up to the hype that he had coming in, just because, coming off that great year with Minnesota. And then the offensive system. I hated that they really did not build that well around him. I mean, he did play action rollouts there at Minnesota. Hey, let's bring that. No, we don't bring that to the Broncos. So that was a little bit frustrating, but no, I'm excited, but I still also temper things, because 2021 looks more like the year that this team's going to get itself right. Maybe they get there a little bit earlier, but that's kind of my thought right now.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this, Cody, too, and that's such a good question, is it's a even playing field right now, and that's something John talked about too. Note, a team doesn't have an advantage over the other in terms of preparation right now. And while the Kansas City Chiefs are definitely a great team, and Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, no doubt, I'm not afraid of the Kansas City Chiefs, because this is going to be a major obstacle for them as well. This could be one of those things where you see a wild card team take it to the end. I mean, you just have no idea. I would say that the scales and the odds of teams being able to be in the running that haven't been there could be a little bit more even now due to this bizarre year.
I think it was Elway talking about today that he said whoever handles this whole situation the best is going to have an advantage.
Yes.
And so far, I would say the Broncos have done a great job handling it. They were one of the first teams to have their plan approved by the NFL and the NFLPA.
Yep. Absolutely. And just
They-
a
they-
note, and
Go
just
ahead.
a note on that, that's an excellent thing to add. And I've heard rumor, I can't confirm, that Brittany Bolin was very responsible in heading up that plan. I believe it was, a multi-page document that was sent over to the NFL, right? I mean, I can only imagine how much work Brittany Bolin and the Broncos put in for the NFL to approve that. And that's great news. That's saying that the NFL's on board, the Broncos are on board. Let's get football going, Carl. We're so close, man. We're so close.
All right, Brian Greenfield coming in. Man, you've been active in good and bad ways. I'll take it. But another super chat, appreciate it. If we had the 2015 secondary, it would be the best Broncos defense ever. I will say, so it's kind of interesting. I would probably take the 2020 safeties paired with the cornerbacks. I like TJ Ward. Obviously, I mean, he was a great player. Darian Stewart was great for 2015. But Justin Simmons, to me, is easily top 5 safety. Probably, really, we should be saying top 3. Let's just start there.
I agree.
Of course, Jackson on the other side. I mean, he played like a top 10 safety this last year as well. So that kind of combo, I'd take that. Edge rushers, I'd take the 2015 group. DeMarcus Ware, I'm sorry, just that leadership he brings to the team. And Von Miller, 5 years younger, is an animal.
Well,
he's still an animal. But
and while I'm so pumped that Jarrell Casey's here, and I'm one of the biggest Jarrell Casey fans out there right now, the only Bronco, I guess, to make the top 100, even though he hasn't played with the Broncos yet, of course, coming over from the Tennessee Titans. I like Derek Wolfe. Well, that relationship Von Miller had with Derek Wolfe, still has with Derek Wolfe, the leadership that Derek Wolfe provided here in Denver. Folks, get ready. Wolfie's coming back to Denver in some capacity. You got to know he has said he wants to be on the radio. He has said he wants to be a part of the media. I can't wait, because Derek Wolfe is definitely going to be shaking some things up. He's a very lively character. If you've ever heard him, I know on the radio stations, they constantly have to have the drop button ready. So, I'm definitely going to go with that 2015 team. But the optimism, you said it, Carl. I mean, and you start going through the quarterbacks. Once you find a quarterback, you can get excited. And then once you see your GM is building things around your quarterback, including the offense, you get even more excited. And then the defensive players are excited. Vaughn's putting on weight and being a beast. And Bradley Chubb is healthy and ready to come back. And hey, Justin Simmons and the contract extension, that didn't get done just yet. But you know what? Justin said he's happy to come back to work. He's not groaning about it. He's coming about it as a professional and as the young man we thought he was. So I'm pumped, man.
Yeah, he's one of those. He's smart to understand the situation.
He's a businessman. Yep.
He understands that. So I appreciate that about him, because you see a lot of these other guys that really bring in tons of emotion to it. And I can't blame him. This is your livelihood. This is, you've put in all this work. You've earned this contract, and you want that. But all right, Terry Randall, Michael Ojemudia is going to be a beast. Will be a beast. Sorry, Buana. I think he's such a great fit for the system. Iowa runs a very similar system with what they ask their cornerbacks to do. And so I do think he's raw. I mean, you saw him improve as this last season went on in college. By the end, when he was in that bowl game against USC, he was dominating, making plays left and right. But you did see early on in the year, he was having some issues. Just he would turn his hips a little bit too quick, wanting to get down the field. By the end of the year, he was doing a lot more of the click and close, make plays. So I'm interested just to see how quickly he does adjust to the NFL, because he had a big, giant leap there in college. Now he's got to make an even bigger leap here in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be a blue-collar cornerback, and I hate to just love the guy, because Nick, everybody knows he's an Iowa fan, right? And if you don't know, just ask him, he'll tell you. Michael Ojemudia, man, I'm so pumped, because I think he's going to be the blue-collar cornerback that this team needs, not only in the passing game, but in the running game as well. The first thing Vic Fangio will not allow, missed tackles. You look at Michael Ojemudia, he knows how to break down and wrap up. I love it. You talked a little bit about his hips being on a swivel, being able to click and close. I do like the ability. I think some maturation and development with film and working with Ed Donatel are definitely going to assist the young man. But you know what? He's going to get burned this year. They all do. The best cornerbacks in the league get burned. Playing on the defensive line, offensive line, I always used to think those were the hardest positions. I don't know how these guys play corner or defensive back in the NFL right now. Referees are hunting for him. It drives me absolutely nuts because I'm a defensive guy. But yeah, I think Michael Ojemudia, he's going to be a little bit of a project. I think he will get some starting time, but I hope to see the young man rise to the occasion.
Yeah. I will say one of the best things he did in college all year is he did not get beat over the top. I do think there will be some times here in the NFL where he's going to want to do that click and close, and somebody's going to do the whole move, get him.
They're going to catch him.
But he at least showed well at that of learning how to make sure that's not what happens. And again, the missed tackles, he doesn't have them. So he's going to fit in really well even early on. All right, Brian Greenfield coming in again. Man, appreciate it. Drew Lock is the real deal, and Henry Ruggs is a bust. Market in stone. So I had this talk with Eric and Lance because I was on their show last week.
Yep, I heard it.
Okay, and I talked about her with Henry Ruggs. I said I don't think he is the best fit for Oakland. Well, I guess, or Las Vegas, I guess is what we really should start calling them now. Sure. It's hard to keep track of all the places they're moving anymore. Yeah. I guess we should just call them the Raiders.
One sucky place to the other.
Yeah. But and it's not, he'll be able to take those quick slants that Derek Carr is very good at. But when you're eliminating the fact that Derek Carr does not like to throw deep anymore, and Henry Ruggs, what does he do? He offers that ability to win over the top. I do think that they are going to limit a little of what he can bring to the table. So I loved Henry Ruggs. I had him as my number 2 wide receiver, partly because I thought he was just the perfect complement to Courtland Sutton. And I do love Jerry Jeudy too. I mean, the top 3 guys were like 1A, 1B, 1C. I'm going to be happy with any of them because they all bring a little something different to the game. But I thought Henry Ruggs' ability to win over the top with that speed really opened up everything for everybody else. And since Oakland can't, or Las Vegas can't take advantage of it, hey, that's great for the Broncos.
I'm going to blow your mind here because I would have taken CeeDee Lamb over Henry Ruggs with Jerry Jeudy as my number 1. The only reason being, I understand speed kills, but that was way too rich of a pick for me. I just couldn't pull that trigger in the first round. And it feels like the typical Raiders move, and I can understand that because Al Davis had a history of, drafting the next hottest thing. But you know what? Don't sleep on Henry Ruggs, man. Speed kills in this league. Everybody's looking for, the next speedy wide receiver that is going to take you to a championship, Tyreek Hill. But the fact of the matter is right now there's only one Tyreek Hill. I feel much more comfortable knowing that the Broncos got KJ in the second round, even though we were all shocked and thought that was way too rich at the time. I'm starting to come around. I'm trying not to let that be the homer in me just because those drops bother me, just like we talked about. KJ Hamler and Henry Ruggs, I would argue, are very similar. Their route running needs to improve. They're not just speed demons. Their route tree knowledge is limited. I think that KJ Hamler's got a better quarterback right now with Drew Lock as opposed to Marcus Mariota or Derek Carr, whatever's going on there with the Raiders. But I'm with you. I definitely feel like Jerry Jeudy falling to the Broncos is something that Judy's going to make teams pay for.
Yeah, no, and my order was CeeDee Lamb because I thought he had the best overall.
You went number 1, CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, man.
I have loved CeeDee Lamb since his freshman year of college.
It's because you like those big receivers, right?
I usually, Jerry Jeudy types are my usual, my go-to.
Okay.
That's the type of receiver I was when I was in high school. The quick-footed guy that got open and made those quick moves, good footwork. Because, I mean, I'm short. I can admit it. I'm 5'9". I wasn't going to beat some of those bigger guys than me. So I had to beat them with better technique, all those kind of things. My grandpa worked on footwork with me ad nauseum. It was crazy. But I like Jerry Jeudy. Some of the drops bothered me with Jerry Jeudy as well. Mm-hmm. And I always do worry a little bit about those Alabama guys. Is it the talent around them that makes them look so great? Because, I mean, he had, 4 other receivers that are going to be first-round picks around him, and a great running game, and a great offensive line, and a top 5 pick at quarterback. Or is it really Jerry Jeudy's just that good? No, I do think Jerry Jeudy is that good.
Right.
But I just CeeDee Lamb, he's one of those guys. It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. He's still going to go make plays because he can make it above the rim. He can make those behind the back catches, and he can also do so many things in the open field once the ball's in his hand. And so it's kind of like having Cortland Sutton on one side, Cortland Sutton on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I thought, you can't have two Cortland Suttons and then have Tim Patrick, right? It's just like, where's the speed, right? But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And it's interesting. And as Gary Kubiak said, we're fixing to find out. And you know what else we're fixing to find out? Fixing to find out who won this new Broncos hat, as we've got 5 minutes left to go in the show. Bawana Beast behind the scenes and Carl, guys, what are you seeing for giving away that swag?
Well, John is going to be on that one. Carl, your head looks like you're 6'3". So I'll wait for Bawana to get in on that one.
Well, and I wanted to comment on that real quick. You know, you talk about your grandfather working at nauseum with you. That's really special, man. And that's something I would really encourage people. Go play football in the backyard with your loved ones if you're at home. Go work on something little. Those memories last. I just had my little girl's birthday last Friday, turning 7. These memories last. Carl, you've got kids. Those memories last, man. And football and dads and moms and grandmothers and grandfathers, they go together so well.
Yep, they do. My parents are actually at my daughter's baseball game right now. So they've been working on some of that. So I just got news from Bawana here. The Chad Jensen one. No. You could actually get the randomizer, gave it to him first. But Cody Potter is our winner today.
Cody absolutely crushed it. Congratulations, Cody. We appreciate all of your help so much. We're going to be getting this hat out to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, so be reaching out to Chad on that one. Chad will be reaching out to you, I'm sure. So we'll get the hat to you here as soon as possible. Love to see you get a picture with it whenever you get it, just because we love to see our swag out there. And you know, I still love mine, even if some people don't like it as much. I wear this all the time. I've actually had people stop me in the street and go, "Are you that Carl from Building the Broncos?"
Ooh.
And wear that. And I'm like, "Yes, that is me."
Yeah, but you know what, Carl? After this show, they're going to stop and they're going to see that beard and they're going to say, "Are you Carl from, the two good-looking beard guys on Building the Broncos on Tuesday night?"
Yeah. All right. Well, Buano's let me know. Cody, if you reach out to milehighhuddle@gmail.com and give your information, that goes to Chad, and Chad will get that sent out to you ASAP. So, that's if you, like I said, if you don't remember what it is, just reach out to one of us. We can get you the information that you need to get that hat and get to looking good out there.
Yeah, and that's something that's really cool that, Mile High Huddle and Chad and we all try to do as much as we can. We support you guys as much as you guys support us. So reading through some of your live comments before the show even started, talking to Bawana Beast and Carl, we're just so humbled that you guys not only donate resources, but more importantly, your time. Time to me is the most the most precious thing that we have in this world. And you guys donating 60 minutes of your time to sit here with Carl and I and rap about the best football team in the NFL, I absolutely love it.
Yeah. And Kevin Peterson coming in here with another super chat. # Carl is huge in Japan.
They love you, Carl. So, Carl, sometimes they love you. They just telling you got to change your hat a little bit. So, it's mixed result there. You got to take a little bit of salt.
But all right. Any last thoughts here before we get out of town?
Yeah, I would just encourage everybody to, stay happy as you can, take care of each other, and be happy that Broncos football, it's on its way. They're orienting. It looks like they were getting sized for equipment today on top of all the other stuff. So they're getting there, guys, and that's good news. That's really good news. And in a world that is just so draped full of negativity, try to uplift each other, try to look for the silver linings, and I'm just so pumped to be rapping Broncos here on a Tuesday night. I'm going to be joining you guys for a little bit in the near future. Nick will be back very soon, and then I'll be coming back on and off. So thank you guys so much for your support. And Carl, I appreciate you having me on, brother.
Of course. Yeah. No, I'm excited. Nick's got a couple things coming up here the end of next month. So Luke and I are going to be doing a couple shows together, and I'm excited about that. And so I thought, hey, what better way to get some chemistry going in this relationship?
Some beards. So we got our beard clan going on. Nick's going to come back, and I know he's got a good mop right now. And y'all go over and at Nick Kendall MHH, and you guys could go see it. And I guess, my one last question for you, Carl, is what do you think Nick does with his time off? Because I know he has a gorgeous puppy. I know he's married, and I just think he sits in the basement and watches Iowa film.
Well, I mean, that's 90% of what he does. Yeah. And no, I do know. So a little bit funny story just before we get out of here. The guy that introduced Nick and I, it was because both of us would talk to this guy about the draft. And he was like, oh my gosh, these two guys are texting me and messaging me all the stinking time. Maybe if I get the two of them to talk to each other, they'll stop messaging me.
Nice.
And, I started going back and forth about the draft and different prospects. And it just, that's kind of how our relationship started. So I know that's exactly what he does all the time, is just watch more film than I could ever imagine.
It's organic, and that's why Mile High Huddle is the best place for all of your coverage. Get at us at Mile High Huddle. Get at Carl at Carl Dumler MHH. Get at me at Luke Patterson LP. And I guess my last thing: always believe in Mile High Magic, folks. It's right around the corner. It's coming. You got Drew Lock. You got Cortland Sutton. You got Jerry Jeudy, Von Miller. Man, Broncos are looking good.
Yes, it is an exciting time. Like I said, you said milehighhuddle.com. We're going to have a lot of articles about everything happening at training camp. And so we're going to get you as much information as we can. It's going to be a little bit limited just because we can't have the fans there. We can't have as many media there as we'd like. But we will get you all the information that we hear from all of our insiders, from all of our people. And Luke, man, this has been fun. Loved it. Thank you for joining me here today.
You got it, buddy.
And right as we close out, just want to make sure that you sign up with at BTB Football Pod and at Mile High Huddle on Twitter. And make sure that you head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts. Give us a rating if you can, and subscribe to our show, because you do not want to miss any of these episodes. We've got so many great shows here at Mile High Huddle. And this is us wrapping up another episode of Building the Broncos. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you soon. And as Nick always likes to say at the end of every episode, go Broncos. Oh, we got one more comment real quick.
Oh, Cameron coming in with the Hail Mary.
I'm going for the button. Love the pod. Loving this new look Broncos offense. Do you think Fant transitions back into red zone threat he was in college?
He better. He was the first round pick. Now, I'm expecting a lot out of Noah Fant because I was wrong about him. I called him a bust early, and it's something that I'm eating crow on. I was out there at training camp last year when he wasn't in shape. The guy was off puking to the sideline, and I was super disappointed. Well, you know what? He came back with one of the best rookie years a tight end can have. So, absolutely, Noah Fant, Drew Lock, they got to become besties, especially in the red zone.
Right. And he's got to get a little bit better about attacking the football. A couple
times
there. Yeah. In the red zone, he'd kind of wait for the football to come to him. Nope. You got to go get that football. Those windows are closing quick, and you got to go use that 6'5" frame, box him out, man. Do your job. Yeah. And he showed a little bit of that, just not as consistent as I'd like. This year, hopefully he's ready for it.
Yeah, it's like dodgeball, right? You got to get angry. You got to get mean. And Noah Fant, fixing to get mean in the red zone. Thank you guys for joining us here on Building the Broncos. He's Carl. I'm Luke, saying always believe in that Mile High Magic.